that you reached out to me through Mayor Linda Northrup, I believe, from the city of Agora. I'm on the Agora Planning Commission, which is like one step below the Agora City Council, and I work for the senator, and we had all of the fire areas, so I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. So at this point, I'm gonna just kind of turn it over and let you guys take over.
Okay. So here's 2 copies of the packet.
Fantastic, thank
and
you.
This is a packet all about just like our project and the competition.
Fantastic. So do you guys want to tell me a little bit of, actually, will you each go through and introduce yourself? Tell me your name and what grade you're in, if we can start, and what school you go to.
Okay.
If we can start with you.
My name's Annabelle. I'm in 5th grade at Willow.
Oh, fantastic.
My name is Zach. I'm in 5th grade at Willow.
I'm Benjamin. I'm in 9th grade at Oak Park High School.
I'm Hannah, and I'm at 5th grade at Willow.
And I'm Kian, and I homeschool, so I'm not really sure what grade I'm in. So that would be 6th grade.
Okay, cool. Around that area.
I'm Jake, and I'm in 5th grade at Willow. I'm Zara. I'm 5th grade at Red Oak Elementary.
All good schools. I went to Lupin Hill, then A. Wright, then Agora, so I'm local like you guys. So do you guys want to tell me a little bit more about the project while we So, you know, first, actually, I'm going to start off, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the Woolsey fire and why this is so important to us. So, do you guys remember being evacuated?
Yeah.
So, the Woolsey fire, our office, and I'm going to hold up this map really quickly. This is our Senate district right here. So, there are 40 Senate districts. Each one have roughly 1 million people. There's about 39 million people in California. And so we're going to do a little civics right now, but there's 2 houses. There's the Assembly and the Senate. We work for the state Senate. So the Senator, Henry Stern, we represent this area. This 1 million people live right here. So there's a lot of different issues going on. And we have the distinct honor of having all of the Woolsey fire in a lot of high fire areas. So the Woolsey fire started over here, as you guys know, and it works its way over here, and it crossed over at Liberty Canyon, where the wildlife corridor is going. Does anyone know about the wildlife corridor? Well, I'm going to talk to you guys about it after you guys present. But so it crossed over here, and it went over here, and it burned all the way down to the ocean. And it burned 97,000 acres. We lost 1,700 houses in the fire. About 23,000 trees were lost in the fire. And this fire is changing the way that we look at designing and building and all the legislation going forward for California. So that's why I thought it was really interesting what you guys were doing. So do you guys want to go through page by page and tell me what's going on, or how do you want to talk about it?
We've got a little presentation.
I would love to see your presentation.
Okay. We are from 8 children ranging from ages 10 to 14. We are from LeXT Academy in Agora Hills on Thousand Oaks Boulevard. We are participating in a robotics tournament known as FLL, or First Lego League. This tournament consists of 3 parts. A robot game where we make a robot do tasks, a core values presentation that includes how we exhibit the core values, and finding a problem in the community and making a solution to it. We already asked the city council and they directed us to you.
The problem we identified is that fires are causing too much damage to homes. During the Woolsey fire, we were affected in many ways, including schools being closed, houses being burning down, and being forced to evacuate. Our solution involves installing an upgraded sprinkler system on the roof and around the perimeter of the home.
These sprinklers will have an infrared sensor, which will sense when the fire gets within 15 feet of the house. And when an infrared sensor detects the fire near the house, it will send a notification to an app on the homeowner's smartphone. And then the homeowner will be able to control individual sprinklers to defend certain parts of the house.
We will also have a pump, like a pool pump, to send water at different speeds to the sprinklers. And if the fire gets too close to the house without the owner responding to the message, the system will send a message to the local fire department and automatically start defending the house.
The sprinklers will create a wall of water that will prevent the fire from getting close to the house. The estimated cost of the sprinklers, infrared sensor, piping, and pump combined is about $4,000, or paying about $110 per month for 3 years. That is much less than the amount of money you would need to pay for repairing or replacing a house.
The cost can also be reduced over time if the government sees how effective it is and decides to fund it. We think this is an effective way to solve the problem of fires in our area. We would love to know your thoughts about our project. Is it possible you can point us in the right direction? Is it possible? Do you know anyone that can help us? Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about our problem or solution? Thank you for taking the time to listen to our proposal.
Absolutely, that was fantastic. And I can't tell you guys how perfect what your proposal is with the legislation that the senator is currently working on in Sacramento right now. So there's a new term that I learned after the fire, and it's called home hardening. And this is basically one of the programs that you guys are talking about. It's a home hardening solution. Now the one problem I thought that we're also addressing is during these fires, a lot of times what happens is the power gets turned off. So without the power, how would you power the system? But I kind of have an answer for you guys. We're running another piece of legislation. It's regarding microgrids. And what that is, it's big battery storage boxes so that when the power goes out, you don't rely on the grid. You have these solar powered batteries. And so I really think that you guys should try and incorporate something like that into the project where, and it's powered by the sun, so it's green, so it's good for the planet, and it's reliable, because what we learned in the Woolsey fire and these natural disasters is that you can't really rely on the power, because power lines get shut down or burned down. And what the power companies are doing is they're turning it off because it can cause during high wind days. PSPS, have any of you guys heard about that? Planned Power Public Shut Off or safety or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. So maybe think about adding something like that into this proposal. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Any thoughts on that comment or?
Yeah. It seems like the cheaper, more efficient way to basically solar power our solution.
Absolutely. So if you could find a way to get it either solar powered, but then if it's at night, you need this battery storage that stored the power from the day, and it's called microgrids. And the senator's working on trying to get it easier for people to get them and more affordable. And then for the parents, what's going on now is that people are getting generators, and they're powered by diesel. So during the fires, there's all these cans of diesel, so it's just a nightmare. Generator sales in California have gone up like 10,000% because after these shutoffs. So we're looking at clean microgrids. Now on our end, how these things work is you guys did the right thing. You come here and you talk to your legislator or your legislator staff. I then take this report up to our Capitol office, get some of your information, talk about the numbers, some of the issues you guys brought up, and then I get that in front of the senator's desk. We from then would have to go to a budget process. Now that takes a long time, and they're very difficult, but you guys are in the right place and starting on the right path, so I very much appreciate you coming in. When's your competition?
It's on Sunday.
It's on Sunday. So definitely won't get the funding by then. Where is it?
It's at Lakeland.
Nice. And so how did you guys come up with this will you just tell me a little bit more about how you guys came up with this solution and really how you came up with this?
Fires were an easy thing because at the time when we first came up with it, was like just after we got to come back.
Right. after you were evacuated and you had to come back. And did any of you guys know anyone or that who lost a house? Or,
Yes.
yeah, just about everybody does. It's crazy. I do think that if you guys are familiar with climate change and what's happening to our planet, where we're changing the weather patterns, we're having longer, drier seasons. It's causing the Santa Ana winds to be more intense and the fire season to be more intense. When I was your guys' age, which wasn't that long ago, I just look older because it's a stressful job. But we would have 1 or 2 fires every 5 or 6 years, and it'd be small. But now every year there's fire season, and this is new. And what's crazy is we're actually looking at a bill. How much school did you guys have to miss when?
Like a week or two.
A week,
Like 2 weeks.
at least a couple weeks. Like no, it was the fire started November 8th. It was on a Thursday. Then we missed Friday. Then we went back to school after Thanksgiving break.
Right.
It
So
was,
you missed.
it was we got lucky and it overlapped with our
Thanksgiving break.
Right.
winter break.
And
And
yeah, I remember the timing. It was November 8th, I think was the fire. And so now we have to do a bill to figure out, because every day you guys go to school, your school gets money for you being there. But if you call in sick, the school still gets money. It's an excused absence. But there was no system in place to get the schools the funding for when students were gone for fires. So it's becoming so prevalent throughout the state of California that we need to address it, different types of legislation. What other questions do you guys have for me that you can think of about this, about fires, about government, about the process?
Who else do you want us to share this to?
That's a great idea. That is, so you guys are all in the Agora area?
Yeah.
Let me think. So Agora City Council was a great start. Let me think about who else would be a good person to share with. Because your assembly member is located, their office is in Santa Monica, and I think that's kind of far. I don't know if I want to make you guys drive out there. But you guys are looking for money to do what with this? To get a pilot program, or where are we going?
to build a prototype or like a prototype so we can test it out and see what works, which doesn't work, and what changes we need to make.
Nice. And who's gonna build it? Or do you guys know who's gonna build it and who's gonna put it together?
We researched tons of good stuff that, like, if we were to just build it, we found some good, like, infrared sensors and piping and stuff that we could use. Of course, if we actually, like, do something, it's up to the person who's doing it to choose.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Another thought I was just thinking is, so it's app controlled. It's gonna be based off an app.
Yeah.
Another thing to take consideration is during the fires, the communications went down because a lot of the service antennas either burned down or got shut off. So that's something to take into consideration, because if someone has the app and they evacuate and they're far away, but it's not connecting, then
Yeah, that's why it would automatically start shooting at the fire.
so it would be an automatic.
Yeah.
Like
It
if
would-
they didn't answer.
It would be more effective to control it, because then you could send more power to the ones that need more, to areas that need more help.
But at least it could do some damage before the fire department comes.
Right. And also, during this fire, there weren't enough firefighters to go to every house. So that's why this could possibly be a good first step in home hardening. Remember that term, home hardening. And then what if they don't have a pool? Where would it be connected to? The hose or the?
Possibly, like, they could connect it to truly any water source, like some piping, maybe connect it to, like, if they have a sprinkler system connected to some water source somewhere.
Okay, and that's another part, is that a lot of times the water pressure during these fires, there's no water pressure because the firefighters have tapped into a fire hydrant down the street, and so they're using all the water. So these are all things to take into consideration, that the typical grid that we rely on to turn on our lights, to do everything, our communications, during these natural disasters, don't work a lot of the times. So you need to have backup systems in place. So that's another thing I would look into after Sunday, of course, because I'm sure you guys are ready to go with your project, which is awesome. Do you guys know what some of the other projects are you're competing against?
Well, I'm pretty sure there was one of them that was doing it, like helping disabled people, like play on the playground.
I know there were tons of them. The theme for this year was to get something that specifically a problem in our community that needs to be solved. I know, like one of the teams I saw, they were fixing up stuff around the school. So.
Well, this is I like this because it's regional. This affects everyone in this area. And then how are you guys are going to present? Just like this, or each of you going to go through and read something? Or are you going to have a?
We have a little like skit to perform.
Can we see it? Can we do it now, or you're not ready for that? That's okay. That's okay. So let's go through this a little bit. That's what you see. Problem. There's fire. So also, homes are having a really hard time getting insurance too. I know for the fires.
Yeah.
It's becoming a huge issue. And so, do you think it would look something like this? It would have a sensor, like a light sensor, and then what kind of sprinkler? Like the sprinkler you would find in your backyard that waters your grass.
It's like a more powerful one. I think we listed like the name of it in there.
I think it's
Impact rain gun sprinkler?
There we go.
Yes.
And then I know you guys told me, but there was so much going on. What were the numbers of cost? And
$4,000 or like $110 per month for 50 years.
And that's just for like the average house. If it was like 25 square feet by 25 square feet.
50
But
by 50.
50 by 50. Yeah.
Which is pretty small. You would need more for a larger house. Less for a smaller house.
right, absolutely. So what I'm gonna here we go. You got the Agora City Council right here. And me. Look at me. That's exciting. That's really exciting. That's funny.
We have to have your contacts.
Oh, wow. Oh, so actually, you guys did a phone interview with Tessa. That was actually going to be my other with Supervisor Sheila Kuehl's office. Was that helpful? Did you guys talk? Tell her about what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And she bring up the same problem of like not enough water for it to actually work. And,
Right. We work really closely with their office because in these natural disasters, all the agencies need to work together. So we represent the state of California while they represent the county. But so we do a lot of collaborating. So how we typically do this is we have a budget request. So I'm gonna work on getting you guys a budget request form that you'd fill out where you answer a certain amount of questions, and then that is what we submit to the senator, and then from there we see if we can actually get something going. I will say it's very hard to get budget requests on the state level. With 39 million people, there's a lot of people asking for stuff. So because you guys are so awesome, I will put it in and see what I can do, but it's no guarantee. But like I said, you started on the right path of the process. These are how you get big things done, is small steps, by coming here, by talking about this. So I do really appreciate you guys taking the time. What else can fire related? Fire home insurance? See my name, Jeremy Wolf, Fire Home Insurance. Yeah. We have dealt with so many wildfires in our district. The senator actually lost his house that he was living in Malibu to the wildfire. It was a guest house. I will say there was a main house and then a guest house, but so we're very aware of the damage it caused. My best friend now lives with me because he was in an area called Seminole Springs. I don't know if any of you have heard about that, but his home burned down. There was 215 homes there, and 110 burned down. Yeah, it was. Have you guys heard of Seminole Springs? Or it's yeah, really intense. But this is the new reality we're dealing with. Wildfires is part of our future. We need to adjust to it. The state's gonna be spending billions of dollars over the next however many years addressing it. So I think this is fantastic that you guys thought of this as a problem, because it's all over the state. And we live in what's called the WUI, the Wildland Urban Interface, WUI. And we're learning that we should have done a little bit better job of building our homes in this area. We didn't take fire that seriously. We thought we could just conquer nature and we'd have the firefighters would put it out. But Mother Nature is not happy with us and where we chose to put our homes. So you guys are spot on for trying to address something like this, and I really do appreciate it. What other questions? You guys have any thoughts? Anything? Nope? All right, well then now you have to listen to me talk for a little bit about another issue. All right, if you guys turn over in that corner, do you see P22? Has anyone heard of P22? You see the mountain lion over there?
We can take him back to the academy if we're done.
Does anyone know how many mountain lions we have left in this area?
Isn't it like 5 or something?
A little bit more, not much more. About 10 to 15 is the number that we have, and they're collared. And what's amazing is that we are next to the second most populated urban center in the country. New York City is number 1, then Los Angeles, with 10 million people living in a 30-mile radius. Yet we are lucky enough to live out here where there's beautiful wildlife and open space and mountain lions that are roaming the hills. They want to stay away from you, so don't be scared. That I don't blame you, and they don't want to go close to you. But the problem our mountain lions are facing is, here is where we are right now. If you guys can all see that.
Yeah.
And then here is the Santa Monica mountain range, where there's these 10 to 12 mountain lions left. Now down here's the ocean, so they can't go anywhere. Over here is Oxnard and Ventura. Have you guys ever driven by and seen all the strawberry fields?
Yeah.
So there's really nowhere for them to go over here. Right over here is the city of Los Angeles, and there's quite a few people and a lot of asphalt there. So there's nowhere for them to go once they get here. And then on the top is the freeway that you guys took to get here, the 101 freeway.
Yeah.
So the only place where there's open space left on both sides of the freeway is Liberty Canyon. Does anyone recognize that freeway exit when you drive by it every day? It's 2 away from Canaan. It's right here. So what they're gonna do is build the world's largest wildlife bridge right in Agora Hills from one side of the freeway to the other side of the freeway to help new mountain lions come in and other mountain lions leave. And it's not just for mountain lions, it's for all the animals in the Santa Monica Mountains. And the fire, devastating to habitat in the Santa Monica Mountains. And we lost 2 mountain lions, unfortunately, and a lot of habitat where they hunted and lived, and bobcats were affected, and coyotes and deer populations, and they're all starting to come back. So these fires, they don't just affect homes, they affect our wildlife, and so there's a lot of damage done by them. All right, guys. Well, what else? Any questions in the peanut gallery or?
When is that going to be finished? Do you think that?
2022, the year 2022, they're going to start. They're going to start building the wildlife corridor. But we have about $15 million, but we need about 50 million more. So if you guys have any money in your piggy bank, that would be. So every penny counts. And I do want to tell you guys a little bit actually about the senator who I work for. I think that would be helpful for you guys to know. So I'm his longest employee. I had full head of hair when I first started working for him, only 3 years ago. And so when he was elected, he was the youngest state senator in the Senate. He's no longer the youngest. There's one younger than him. And he was born in Malibu, so not that far away from you guys. And this is a random question, but have any of you guys ever seen Home Alone?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you guys know the 2 bad guys in the movie? Well, the senator's dad is the tall bad guy.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's a fun little fact. And if you look at a picture of him, you can kind of see it. But we'll get another one. So that is a fun little fact. And he worked for the former senator, and so did I. Was an intern with the former senator, and that's how I met him. And his big issue is the environment. He is the chair of this committee called Natural Resources and Water. So we deal with all issues dealing with nature, wildfires, water, pollution, open space. As you guys know, our environment is under threat, so we're doing everything we can to protect and preserve it so that we can enjoy it. Another issue that he works on, and has become one of our passion projects, is the intellectually disabled community, kids with special needs. We're working to get funding to their programs, along with helping with public education, which is very, very important because you guys all go to amazing schools, and I went to an amazing school, and you went to an amazing school. Where did you, Santa Clarita?
Yes, Santa Clarita, to Stevenson Ranch Elementary School.
Stevenson
Back in the
Ranch.
day.
That's it. And so we're trying to do big things. California is its own little country. California is part of America, but we are if we were our own country, if California broke off and made its own country, we would be the 5th largest economy in the world. So it goes the United States, then China, then Japan, then Germany, then California. That's how what we do here, how big California is and how important we are. So the laws that we set, the nation usually follows, and then the world follows. So we change the world right here in California. So it's really exciting to be a part of the legislature and in politics, basically, in government. Do any of you guys have any interest in going into government? Nobody ever does.
Really.
You know, you don't have to have an answer, but I'm just so curious. What do you want to do when you grow up? And we're going to go around the room. If you don't know, say I don't know, and then we can pass. And I don't want to put you on the spot. But
I want to do something that has robotics in it, like engineering or something.
wow, okay, we need that STEM. Science, technology. What's the E stand for? Engineering, and the M, mathematics. Boom. STEM. What do you want? No, that's okay. That's okay.
Me neither.
That is so okay.
I don't know.
That is so okay. You don't know?
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to do something in the medical field, become some sort of doctor. Maybe design robots for doctors. I like robotics a lot.
That is amazing. And then, so speaking of robotics, I want to hear about and you're in the right program. So you guys are based in Agora. Are you guys near Crony? Where? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so tell me about what you guys do and tell me about the program. I'm really curious if anyone so tell me a typical day when you go there and how it works.
So usually for our sessions where everyone comes, we focus on the fire thing in the project. So if we come on extra days, we usually do the robot game, which is pretty much where we build robots out of Legos and this thing called Mindstorms, which is a coding program. And we make a robot made out of Legos, go up and lift something like this, or dispense or drop 3 small Lego bricks on a circle.
And then you're able to get Legos to do that. And do you have to code for it?
Yes, you code everything. You can't use any remotes. You need to click go and let it go.
That's crazy.
You can't touch it unless it's in a certain
And then you have to wait for it to come back to you. You can change it out for another attachment, put it in the start, click go again, and you have to let it do everything.
That is and you guys know how to code?
Yeah.
What program?
It's called Lego Mindstorms.
It's some pre-coded blocks, but you can do a lot with them.
So Nick over there, you walk by him. He knows how to code, but I just think you just put zeros and ones in, and you get eventually. And so that doesn't get the.
What it is it's more just like a block code where you click this here, move forward this far, or this here, and then you need to you start with 4 motors and brain, but you need to build attach the motors to make and have wheels to make them move forward. Make this thing that moves up and down to lift it. And you have to make all that out of Legos.
Wow.
There's 4 motors and 4 sensors.
You can use sensors to like sense certain like patterns on the map that we use to make it move a certain position.
You have to drive over a bridge, but going towards the bridge, there's a line, so you can use something that detects the line to make sure you're on the right path, so you're not curving off and running into something.
Wow. That is incredible. You guys are all gonna be engineers. Really? Is everyone good at math?
Yeah.
Oh, jealous. So jealous. And what made everyone want to join the program? You just were all interested in
Yeah, we were
robots.
just all interested. I came here the first day, and we saw what we looked on YouTube the competition the year before, saw what other teams did and like how they did it, and we just all loved it.
Wow.
We decided to make a team.
Well, that's fantastic. And where are the other teams from? From all over the state, all over the country?
Well, there's some all over the country.
Worldwide.
Yeah. Well, there's I think
There's
yeah,
one
it's all over the
Well, what
country.
happened is the competition we went to our last one was just that it was at Ventura High School, so it's everybody in this area, but they do have teams all around the world, and they're separated. So like there's Legoland one, and then there's like little qualifying.
It's like
rounds,
a
and then-
tournament. So like the top
The top 4 teams in your area move on to state,
regional.
and then regionals, and the top regionals move on to state. I think.
goes regional.
Then the top 2 people on each state go to Houston for a final big tournament.
Wow. And you guys is this the first round?
So we got in like, I don't know what place specifically we got.
For the robotics, we got 4th. We don't know what we got for the other ones, so we just barely missed it and didn't move on.
So this Legoland one is for the people who lost the qualifying, and it's just like 56 or so teams who just do the robot part and everything. And I
Just
don't know what you get
just to
into
like have an extra
just to
tournament.
have
Oh.
an extra.
Fun. And gotta go to Legoland.
Yeah.
And do you guys have a model built, or is,
I mean, do we
Kind of.
or
Do we put
Well, one thing in the robot is you need to make a little model of your project out of Legos. So we just made like a little tiny house with little like spinning sprinklers on the top.
okay, so like to demonstrate what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Nice. That's really cool. And while you guys were talking about robotics, there is one thing I also wanted to mention. Nick, Gaines, come talk about artificial intelligence. One big issue we're having, the governor created a commission called the Future of Work, because as amazing as all these robotics are that we're doing, it's putting
I don't know why I'm being called in
we
here.
have a bunch of future engineers and coders, and we just tell a little bit about the future of work and artificial intelligence. So how does that come up?
Yeah, no biggie.
Just our experience on dealing with that, and I just thought that'd be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was Mark Anderson who said software is eating the world, right? So every process that was traditionally done manually or by people is slowly being done by computer programs. That can be a very scary thing because a lot of the mistakes that we make as people get baked into these systems. And so kind of engineers starting to become more empathetic and learning how to think outside of their own perspective, outside their own biases, is something that wasn't really thought about a lot before and is increasingly an area of concern. One thing that I think scares a lot of people with AI is they think like killer robots or Terminator or something like that. The truth is, AI as it exists today and as it will likely exist for the next decade or so is really just computer software that can learn from its mistakes, right? So let's say you've got a program that is supposed to be able to recognize a fire truck, right? A machine learning algorithm or something that can be considered AI is really just a piece of code that gets better and better at learning how to recognize a fire truck, right? But it turns out that pays really, really well. So if any of you have any interest in technical fields or in computers at all, there's always going to be way more demand than there is supply, because just about every company in the world now is a technology company in some way, and not everybody's an engineer. So, you know, something to consider.
So you guys are on the right path is basically to emphasize.
You got what you
I
need?
got what I needed. I
Okay,
just wanted
cool.
to share that what you guys are doing right now is something that they're looking at on the state level, and trying to figure out what the future of it, because it's still relatively new for I mean, how long has the academy been around?
It's a little over a year now.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic. And what made you start Agora? Just everyone, just the community being out there.
We do some research, and then we feel this area is based on the education, the family, and then it also is that we feel like robotic is now is the thing for the whole world.
Yeah.
So we choose the growth field first.
Absolutely. And there's robotic tournaments. I went to one with the senator. So I really want to get him involved, and I want you guys all to meet him when he is down here in the district. So he's in Sacramento. That's where he is half of the week. And when he comes down, I want to find a Friday where you guys can all come here and show the demonstration to him also. I think he would absolutely love that. Any other thoughts, concerns? I want to hear how you guys did, so I'm going to give you guys my card too if there's any other government stuff I can ever help you with. But I want you guys to let me know how you did in the contest, and think of me at our office, as a resource. If you guys have questions, if you know people that want to do internships, if you guys want to get more involved in wildlife, if you want to learn about creek cleanups or tree planting we're doing. We do a lot of that type of stuff locally in the community because we are your senator.
And also, like the fire, if it happens to fit in next year's guidelines, then he might
Yeah.
keep going.
I mean, there will be another fire. There's no a system with sprinklers that's activate. Will you guys? You know what? Let's put you on the spot again. Will you give Nick a quick overview of your project? Very, very brief.
So basically, it's just upgraded sprinklers around the house that has sensors to detect when a fire is close, and then the sprinklers just shoot water to help the firefighters defend the house.
Did you guys build this with like an Arduino board or something like that?
I have no clue what that
Yeah,
is.
No, there's no model has been built yet.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's also app-based too,
Yeah.
right?
So you have
Like
the
you
one that
sprinklers, so you can control them with the app that we make.
When a
Because you see it with the camera, then you control, like you see the house and you see where the fire is, and you control which sprinklers shoot more water, and there'll be an infrared sensor which will sense the fire. And if the homeowner doesn't respond
In a matter of time, then it'll contact the local fire department.
And then if they can't respond, then
Then
once
sprinklers
it
just
gets
fire automatically.
really close, it'll just go.
No, that's super timely.
Hardening, I know. And I love how each one of you spoke about. We went around. That was great too. You guys are getting good at this pitch.
One of the big things that the telecoms companies are actually working on, like Verizon and T-Mobile and stuff, they have these cameras that use AI to look for what's called anomaly detection. So basically, they'll look at like a mountainside or a congested intersection or somewhere where there's a lot of street traffic, like a lot of people walking around, and it'll look for something out of the ordinary, something that's not normal, like a spike in temperature or a very bright light, to be able to see if there's something wrong in that area. So those kinds of systems that are already being built can be used for applications like what you guys are talking about, fire detection, response. So your ideas are coinciding very conveniently with the emergence of the technology to actually implement those ideas. So you're on the right track.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and talking to me about this. And really look forward to, this is the beginning. We're gonna work together and I wanna follow how you guys are doing on this, and I'm gonna talk to our capital office to see, you know, what road we can take to see some creative solutions, and just be in touch. I'll give you guys all my card too, so you can reach out anytime. So thank you guys so much for coming. Appreciate it. Absolutely. All right.